Hello everybody, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It's great to be here again. I haven't done a live stream for a little while, but I wanted to do another one with a couple of fantastic guests. Some of you will know Carly's been on the channel a couple of times already. How you doing, mate? Okay?
Very good, thank you, Paul. Very good, and welcome everyone from the Carnivore Nation.
Excellent, thank you. And a newbie to this channel, anyway. She's not newbie to Carnivore in the slightest, but Sarah, welcome onto my channel. How are you doing?
Oh, very, very well, thank you. I'm always excited about life, so I'm really excited about this.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Right. Well, yeah, today is just a normal one that we like to go through. I like to try and get some questions from yourself. So if there is anything you want to ask, just drop a comment in there, put a few cues in front of it so it stands out, and we will get onto them. I've got a few things written down as well. We'll try to get through them, but it'll just go wherever it goes, as always. So first of all, let's just do a couple of introductions. Carl, I know you've been on here before, but if you could just give a brief introduction about your carnivore journey so far and your YouTube channel as well.
Okay, at the turn of last year, 2023, I was clinically obese. I was having high blood pressure. I was being asked to seriously consider going on to statins because I was pre-diabetic. So I had all the telltale signs that a lot of people end up on the carnivore journey. Saw a picture of me at the end of May and was shocked. By chance, came across a YouTube, the famous Jordan Peterson conversation. Looked into it a bit more detail, thought I'd give it a go. 20th of June last year, started the carnivore journey. Within 4 months, I'd lost 4.5 stone. My blood pressure was normal. My resting heart rate was fantastic. And then suddenly the weight loss became less important and it was the overall health. And I've been with it since, set up Carnivore Nation and trying to build it, getting the message out there to the point that I'm started doing the research for doing a PhD around the carnivore lifestyle. That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, excellent. I think that happens to a lot of people where it might be initial weight loss thing and then it does sort of become second to the health benefits because you just feel it quite quickly, don't you? So yeah, 100%. I agree with that. Sarah, now you're not new to carnivore on the site. I think you're probably the most experienced carnivore that I've had on here.
But also,
Sorry, excuse. I think there's a fire truck just went past me out there. But yeah, so you are very experienced at it. I've watched quite a few of your videos now, and I do like what you've got to say. Could you just give everybody a bit of a background check on how you discovered carnivore, how long ago it was, and why you created a YouTube channel?
Yeah, I have lots of years experience, but my journey is also very bumpy, hence my channel, Imperfect Carnivore. I've been in the space for about 9 years now. I bumped into carnivore diet back in December 2014, and but my story is the same as many others, that you find health benefits, and I've actually had a lot of health benefits even without even being super perfect. My journey's been bumpy, which I can talk about later on in the live if you want to, but I don't want to bore people with why. I had a good 25 years of low-fat dieting misery, so I came to it with quite dodgy hormones. But like you say, you join it because you think you might lose some weight, but then you discover health benefits that you had absolutely no idea could happen to you. Let me just reel off my health benefits that I've discovered over the last 9 years. I've reversed gastritis, IBS. I used to have nausea, acid, diarrhea, that kind of thing. That all resolved. I had pre-diabetes. I've reversed insomnia, psoriasis, quite bad psoriasis. I had brain fog, depression, anxiety. That's gone. I have no monthly issues despite being 48. I've got no more overactive bladder, no carb cravings, no hunger, no joint pain. You know, if I just eat meat, I have no joint pain. If I eat things that are not meat, I have joint pain. So I know what my body wants me to eat. I've avoided being severely obese. No more teeth sensitivity. I don't get colds very often. I have all day energy. My weight loss isn't massive, but I have lost 5 inches off my waist since what I was back in 2014. But like you, Paul, I'm mostly here for disease prevention. I follow a long, I come from a family with a long history of severe problems, most notably my mum, who passed away 18 months ago. And one of the reasons my journey is bumpy is because I was always constantly looking after her. And I don't want to follow in her footsteps of being constantly ill, medication for this, medication for that. So I keep going with carnivore, even though it's bumpy. I keep going because I want to have hope for my future, and I know this is the way that I can have hope. I would be morbidly obese if it wasn't for carnivore. I would be at least 100, 200 pound heavier if I hadn't found it, because I had no clue how to keep my weight stable. I was a terrible carb addict. So even though I'm not one of the skinniest or the most perfect, I will still vote for carnivore every day. I will defend it all day long. And I think everyone should do at least 30 days on it just to see, because it's amazing what it can do. And it still continues to amaze me. And I just want to stay off medication. I don't want to ever end up like my parents and other people in my family. So that's the story in a nutshell. Obviously, if you've seen my channel, you know there's a bit more to it than that.
Yeah.
But I don't like to be one of the carnivore police. I like people to come to my channel that know that, you know, they're not going to be judged.
Yeah.
If they, like my mum, when she passed away, I wasn't on carnivore in those last couple of weeks of her life, you know. So this is why my channel is called Imperfect, because I'm there to defend the people that have, you know, life might have got in the way, but they keep coming back to it. And I always, every day I wake up with the intention to be carnivore. I was carnivore yesterday, I'm carnivore today, I'm going to be carnivore tomorrow. I live in the present, and that's all I can do. So that's me. 9 years, bumpy carnivore.
That's funny you say that. I put a funny up yesterday saying that the carnivore diet's a 1-day diet. And the idea is you go back to sleep, wake up, and you start again. If you do it that way, you can do carnivore easily.
100%. I'm trying to live in the present a lot more now. Instead of thinking, I must be perfect, I think, today I'm going to be carnivore. What happens tomorrow or yesterday doesn't matter. Today I'm carnivore. I've got all these health benefits. I'm not on medication. I'm not morbidly obese. Things are all right in my world. And that's me.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's the problem when people talk about it as a diet, because when everyone thinks of a diet, they're thinking of a period of time of going through a process, where carnivore for me is a lifestyle. So if you do look at it with, let's do it 1 day at a time, one step at a time, I think that it just becomes so natural and so easy to do.
But life can get in the way sometimes. You know, when I moved in with my mother and she was dying in front of me with no hospice care, I didn't care what I ate during those 2 weeks. I couldn't give two hoots what I was eating in those 2 weeks, because it was too traumatic to even think about my own life. A lot of women do end up, it's not just women, but a lot of women do end up caring for elderly relatives, and you know, sometimes when it's bumpy, it's because my life has just been so traumatic. I actually at that moment don't care. But the day after she passed away, I did actually go back to carnivore straight away. Because I knew that I didn't want to end up in the state that she was in with multiple health problems. You know, she died at 71 with multiple health problems, and I'm terrified to not be carnivore. You know, people say, why are you frightened to be carnivore? You should be frightened not to be carnivore, because that's where health problems come from.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm carnivore today, and I'll be carnivore tomorrow, and I'll probably be carnivore on Tuesday, and that's as far ahead as I'm going to be thinking.
Yeah, no, that's the best. That's the best way to think about it. I like the fact, you know, even Carl's mentioned it before about carnivore police, because you do get them. You get the ones that say it has to be like this, otherwise you're not doing it right. You're not feeling the benefits. And to me, that's a bit of it comes across as a bit of a vegan mentality, where, you know, they always pushing it's got to be this, got to be. It doesn't have to be that. I don't care what anybody says. It doesn't have to be that. We're not perfect beings.
No.
So
I got all these health benefits being imperfect.
Yeah.
So I'd like to know what I'd be like if I was perfect, and I think I will be. I've still got time. I'm not planning to die tomorrow. I might have the next 10 years as actually being perfect, but I'm not going to put pressure on myself. That's why my channel's Imperfect.
Yeah. It's a great username. To be honest with you, I could have easily used that myself, and I've only been doing it since August, so I'm a newbie to all this carnivore stuff. But I just want to quickly go through the chat, because we've got quite a few people popped in and said hello. So I'll just go through some of these. If I do miss anybody as well, I do apologize. They do come through quite quick sometimes. So hello everybody, good evening, depends where you are, whether it's morning or good afternoon, good evening. So that's Kentucky. Thank you for popping in. Anita Chisnell, she's just commented on a couple of my videos. I will get back to you and reply when I get a chance, so thank you for that. Hi all. morning to you. We've got Julie. Hi from Yorkshire. Love Yorkshire, beautiful part of the world, I think. Question here from Carnivore Dean. What are the best electrolytes to use? Them LMT ones are so expensive. Yes, I've never actually bought LMT. I've seen them advertised because most of the American YouTubers have like promos using these LMTs, and they do sound good, but I've never tried them, so I can't comment. I did buy some recently, and I tried them once, and I didn't like the taste at all. It was far too it had a very salty yet at the same time artificial sweetener taste to it, which I didn't like at all. So other than that, trying it that one time, and I did get some when I first transitioned to Carnivore as well, I've just used normal salt on my food, just put loads of salt on everything.
I don't know if the camera get this. These are the stuff that I swear by. I'll get it on the camera, right?
See if I can,
I swear by. You get 240 tablets for about, I think it's about 12, 13 pounds. Great value. As you can hear, there's plenty in there. I started at first because I was getting cramps. I used this, and then basically I found.
I'm trying to get you on there.
Yeah, no problem. There you go. I highly recommend these. The camera will focus properly. On one of my YouTubes, there is a link to it. I can't remember which one, but I can always send you the link to put on here later on, Paul.
Yeah.
But there's 240 in a pack, and I've still got over half there because after a while, with the salts that you're taking in and the waters that you're drinking, you become less reliant on them. But when I was having cramps, they were brilliant.
Yeah.
So, and they're really good value.
So do you think it is mainly a transitional thing, or do you think, because there was somebody mentioned this in the WhatsApp community as well, saying that everybody on Carnivore should always use electrolytes all the time? Do you think that's the case, or do you think that you can just use it as a transitional thing?
Well, I can only refer to me. I'm my own living experiment. When I first went on Carnivore, I noticed within a few days I was getting cramps in my calves and I was getting cramps in my feet, weirdly. So I then looked at what the issue was. I started taking electrolytes within a day or so. That had completely gone, and because of almost thinking it's the solution, I was using them. Then eventually, I forgot to take a few. Noticed I wasn't getting the cramps, so I haven't used them probably now for nearly 3 months, and have not felt the need. I put a lot of salt on my food, and I do drink sparkling water quite a bit, and I think the combination of those two, for me, works. Other people may have totally different needs, and as I say, none of us are doctors, so we can only refer from our own position.
Yeah, exactly. Have you had any experience using the electrolytes, Sarah?
I've actually never bought electrolyte products, and like you say, LMNT is actually prohibitively expensive in the UK to get it shipped over here.
Yeah.
I looked online, and it's about £70 for a pack of 30 or something to be shipped to the UK. And I thought, luckily though, I haven't really needed it. I tend to use a rock salt or a Celtic salt, and I just salt my food. But I don't drink excessively. I know that there's some myths floating around the health world that you have to drink gallons and gallons of water, and that's just what you do. But I just do what the veterans taught me to do back in 2014: eat to my hunger, drink to my thirst. I don't, I just go naturally. So I think you can get electrolyte imbalances if you are somebody that thinks, right, now I'm on a health campaign, I obviously must drink 18 gallons of water a day. Well, that's going to throw your electrolytes well out. So I just tend to drink when I'm thirsty, eat when I'm hungry, and that's how I live. So I don't worry. I don't worry about electrolytes. But I've been in the journey so long now, though, that my body seems to be quite cool with it. I can switch in and out, and my body seems to know what to do.
Excellent. Yep.
Yeah. So I don't use any products. I just use salt to taste, drink water to thirst, and that's how I manage it, and I feel absolutely lovely. So I feel fine.
I think you hit it on the nail there. It's listening to your body, because your body will know what it needs. And I always say to people, listen to your body, not your subconscious brain, because your subconscious brain will want sugars and glucose because it wants the quick high. But your body knows what it's lacking. And so when you eat some fats and butter and it tastes brilliant, your body needs it. When you suddenly eat it and it tastes greasy, then you know you've had enough. Your body knows. Listen to it.
Oh, my body knows. Yeah. My body is very strongly in favor of Carnivore. It tells me every time.
Yeah.
I know which way of eating my body prefers because it shouts at me if I don't do it. It knows.
Yeah.
It knows what it wants.
No, I agree. Totally, 100%. Yeah, we've also got Anita in here from Lincolnshire. I used to live in Lincolnshire, beautiful part of the world as well. I used to live in a place called Anderby Creek. Beautiful place. Good morning. We've got another one here. Can't be doing with all the dogma and doctrine. That's the less grumpy old Ben. I like that.
It's in the
You.
Philippines.
All right. Right. Just sub to Imperfect Carnivore and Carnivore Nation. Excellent. Thank you for doing that. Yeah, if you haven't yet subscribed to them, do it. You can either do it now or do it after the show and send them some love on their channel. Okay, next thing, I do want to talk a little bit about the imperfection, especially with you, Sarah. I know you've had your struggles. What do you think your weakness is? I know you've said a lot of it is down to stressful situations, but is there a particular go-to thing that you like to have? Like for me, it's chocolate biscuits and things. That's my weakness. Is there something? I mean, is it what triggers it? You think, and what is it that you would go to generally?
Yeah. For a starter, though, I'd like to say I never cheat on purpose. I'm not someone that says, "Oh, I'm going to schedule in a cheat day next week." If it goes wrong for me, it's always as a result of a really, really horrible day, or in the case of taking care of my mother over the last many years, it was me moving in with her because she's had a stressful operation. So I'm not someone that plans to cheat. I know I got a comment the other day from somebody that said, "Oh, surely your channel Imperfect Carnivore is just another excuse for the word cheating." I'm like, yeah, okay, I get points. I don't plan to cheat.
No,
It's always as a result of having a hideous day, or I was my mum's right hand man, and it was many years of in and out of hospital, problem after problem after problem, and sometimes I was having such a horrible time I didn't care what I ate. And I know there's got to be at least one person watching this now that will understand I was in such a state I didn't actually care what I ate at that moment. But I went back to Carnival the next day and I carried on. But yeah, it will be the things that's my nemesis that I have to be kept away from is sweeties. Like American call it candy.
yeah,
The pure sugar. Not so much chocolate. I can moderate chocolate very well. I can moderate biscuits and cake and all those kind of things. But I cannot. I've never been able to moderate sweets. So luckily we don't have them in the house. We've got a very savoury family.
yeah.
My little one's just gone off sweets, so now we're not buying them at all now. So 2024 is going to go very well for me, because even if I did want to comfort eat for something, they're not there now. So that's good. But yeah, I just wanted to clear up the fact that some people think that I'm just glamorizing cheating for cheating's sake. No, my journey is imperfect because I've just been through a lot of trauma over the last 9 years in my life with one thing or another.
No.
But yeah, it's the pure sugar candy that I'm going to go for if in a crisis.
Yeah, I do get that. I know the Carnivore Soldiers mentioned it in a video recently about don't plan to fail. I actually
No,
have planned
I
to fail
never.
before. I did. I think Christmas time. I was like, I've bought myself 4 cans of Guinness as a treat, and so I'm planning on failing basically when I did that. And this
Don't call
goes
it failing. Don't call it
well.
failing.
I think
We're all on a nutritional journey.
yeah, I
I
think
don't like to think of it as failing.
what it was for me is what you mentioned. It's I have moments where I felt like I was missing out on life, and like you've said before about the grieving period, that I actually really do believe I had that, and that really struck a chord when I watched that video with you, because I was like, that's exactly what I'm doing. Whether it be at
Yeah.
work and they've got the someone's birthday and they've got the biscuits out, or if I want to go to see me family, and you don't want to be. I'm looking at things. I'm thinking I don't want to think that I'm never going to be doing this ever again, and it sort of is,
Yeah, we can't underestimate the power of rituals, culture. We are carnivores living amongst people that want to eat all of the things, and occasionally it's going to get to you. Occasionally you're going to think, wow, am I actually never going to take part in
Yeah.
this ritual or this culture ever again? And sometimes you're fine with it, and other times you're like, actually, that's really sad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I was watching a movie just now and some people in Italy were sitting around all enjoying a meal, and there was loads of them all sitting in the sunshine having this, that, and the other. And I thought, I'm actually glad I'm imperfect, because I may get the opportunity to do that one day, and I'm just going to do it, and I'll be carnivore the next day, and I'll still have all these health benefits, and that's okay with me. I
Yeah.
don't like the carnivore police.
Yeah.
People that say we should never, ever, ever enjoy ourselves ever, otherwise we're just absolute failures. Because we only are on this planet once, and I know that glamorizes cheating. I know I'm probably going to get criticism, but I just, my group is my YouTube channel is a welcome door for people that, you know that carnivore is the best way to eat, but for some reason it hasn't gone in a straight line for them.
I think Anita in the chat has just made a very valid point. We're humans that have been programmed to eat a certain way. So don't look at it as cheating. It's just, and I think that someone else has put it's a pause in the lifestyle, because you say the biggest problem when people go on diets, they slip up, they beat themselves up about it and think, that's it, I'm not doing it, I'm not sticking with it. The advantage of the carnivore, as you said earlier, you can switch the next day and get straight back on it, and it's no issue. Where I tried being a vegan because I was concerned about my weight. My father was diabetic, and some of my brothers were becoming diabetic, and it was a big fear for me. I went down the vegan journey, found that I was the longer I went on it, the hungrier I became. I was never happy. I was grumpy about it. Where this carnivore diet has completely changed it for me, and I'm sure we'll touch upon it later, Paul, but Paul and I started January doing the lion diet, and recently in my week 3, I had a slight slip, mainly when it was because of bacon, not sweets or whatever, but I ended up eating some cookies that night, and obviously the repercussions from my body the following morning was awful, but that was a great reminder for me to say, it ain't worth it. Those 2 cookies I had were not worth the pain I had for 4 hours.
No, 99% of the time it isn't worth it, is it?
No, it's like a short-term pleasure, isn't it? It's like when I was.
That's what I mean by your subconscious brain. It felt like, I need those cookies. Like they're there. I've got to have them.
Yeah. I think I sent in the WhatsApp group the video of when I did have them cans of Guinness, and when I poured it out and I took the drink of that can of Guinness, it was the best can of Guinness I'd ever had in my life at the time. But like later on in the night time, I did feel that I was at the toilet and I wasn't too great, but. It just shows you, if I kept drinking Guinness every night, I'd be back into my old ways, before long. It just does have an effect on you. Before I go to you, Carl, and ask you about any other imperfections you've had whilst you've been on Carnival, I'm just going to quickly shoot back into the chat here.
Yep.
So we've got another one from Lincolnshire. Welcome to the chat. Old Guy Carnival has his vid of a bulk recipe. There's a few on YouTube. I'm not sure what that was talking about. Nia's Weir. I've watched Nia's Weir. Have you heard of Nia's Weir? Nia's Weir on YouTube as well. Very good.
Have a look at that.
She's a good carnivore YouTuber. Hello from the Netherlands. That's nice. Welcome to the channel here. Sorry, some of these are having a little chat amongst themselves as well, I think. Pendar, hello, imperfect panel and chat. Ohio here, but the struggle is real. That's true. Somebody from Essex, that's where I'm currently living now. I did see somebody earlier on put Newcastle in the chat. That's close to where I'm from. I'm actually I'm the red and white, not the black and white. I'm Sunderland for me sins. So and we've got good afternoon from London. Fractal Beans, she's regular. This person is a regular to the channel. Richard's always in here as well with the same old comment. Good morning from Copper Hill, Tennessee. I think this is the comment you were mentioning before, Carl. It's not cheating, it's being human after years of programming and being human. Yeah, totally agree with that. And that it's a generational thing as well. So call it a pause in your lifestyle. Yeah, if you do have that one day where you like you said, you had the pasta and you had the wine or whatever, it's not the end of the world. Hello, my friends. I've just discovered yet another reason to go zero carb. Fortunately, discovered it in a very painful way as I got the worst flare-up of ocular, which is eye herpes virus infection. Nightmare.
Wow.
That doesn't sound good at all. Hopefully that's better for you as soon as possible. I grew up in a family that was all about planning ahead for elaborate meals. And I do think planning is a massive thing when it comes to the carnivore diet. Have you, Carl? Have you suffered through lack of planning, or have you just, have you done any imperfections in your carnivore journey so far?
Well, the only planning I did is I always made sure I had more steaks than I could possibly get through. So I've got 2 freezers jam-packed predominantly with ribeye, a few other cuts of meat as well. So I always had the opportunity to do it. I did the lion diet, well, technically finishing it today because I was going to do for the month or whatever of January.
Yeah.
And the one imperfection, I saw some of them in our group talking about doing this dehydrated bacon. So I thought, well, I'll do some, get it ready for when I come off the lion diet. And on the first night, my lovely wife was chomping through the bacon like it was going out of fashion. And I thought, hang on a minute. And just without even thinking, popped a bit in my mouth. The flavor was incredible. So I ended up having 2 or 3 pieces of that. And that was the same night that, because I'd done it, I thought, oh, you idiot. There were some cookies that I sat there for quite some time, and I thought, you know what, they're not going to do me any harm. And at 3 a.m. in the morning, I suddenly realized what a mistake it was. So that's so far my one big error, but it has been a proper wake up call for me. That literally was a wake up call because of the stomach cramps I was suffering. And it just reassures or reconfirms to me. I did like you. I went to the Boxing Day football, Ipswich versus Leicester, and I had a couple of Guinnesses then. And again, I had a few hours later stomach cramps, etc. So I'm finding if I do a cheat or pause, as we're going to call it, I find the repercussions are just not worth it. So it helps me stay on tune. Although I am looking forward to having some eggs and bacons in the next couple of days once I come off the lion diet. I must admit, I'm missing the eggs.
Yeah, no, I totally get that.
I actually went to Portugal last year with my son in October, and it's the first time he'd ever been abroad. He's nearly 18. It's the first time he's been abroad. It was the first time I been abroad in 20 years, and we were only there 4 nights. And so I made the conscious decision that I wasn't going to be the carnivore police while I was out there. And I did enjoy myself, and I don't regret it. But my digestive system was very bad while I was out there, and within 24 hours of being out there, I was thinking, why did I not just wait till I got here before I made my decision? Why didn't I wait? Because there actually were some restaurants that we could have eaten at, and so I preempted that it was going to be difficult to find things to eat, and actually it wasn't. And so, but I paid for it. I paid for it in a big way. I had digestive distress for the 4 days that we were out there, and when I got back, I had respiratory symptoms and brain fog, all sorts of things going on. I couldn't wait to get back into the carnivore lifestyle. I was back into it the next day. So that was a planned cheat. It was a one-off. We're never going to have that trip again. It was a one-off, but I did regret it. Looking back in retrospect, I wish I'd just waited until I got there before making the decision to take 4 days off.
You wouldn't say it was worth it then?
I don't regret it per se. I'm not going to beat myself up over it, but my body did tell me quite a big way, you should have waited. Instead of saying I'm going to take those 4 days off, you should have waited till you got there, saw what restaurants were available, saw what was on the breakfast menu in the hotel, and then made your decision. Because we ended up buying something on the plane which was off the carnivore lifestyle. So by the time I got there, I was already right. Okay, let's just have the most amazing time. And we did have an amazing time. But every morning when we went out for a walk, I had to go to the toilet 4 times before we could actually leave the hotel and go for a walk down to the beach. And if I'd stayed carnivore, I would not have had those issues. I would not have had the IBS symptoms coming back and having to go to the toilet 3 or 4 times before leaving the hotel. So yes, there was regret, but yes and no. Do you know what I mean?
But it's interesting because a couple of the people I've interviewed, there's Grumpy Ben, who's out in the Philippines, I did recently, as well as George, who was one of the earlier ones that I did. Now, Grumpy Ben actually plans a couple of days a month to have time out, as he puts it, and he has a few beers and whatever, but that suits him. It works for him. So, it works. Where George likes to have a beer at the weekend or some wine and whatever. And there's the comment there from old Ben. I don't know why he calls himself old Ben. He's younger than me, but so some people can make it work. So again, it's about you don't have to be this strict, rigid carnivore, because one, I always say it's so easy to get back on it. So if you do slip or have a pause, whatever, don't punish yourself. Don't give up. Just think, okay, that's it. So I always refer to me as my own living experiment. So if I do something slightly out of line and I understand what the imperfections cause, then as far as I'm concerned, that's part of the learning curve. So so although George did send me a picture of a t-shirt that said the Carnivore Police do exist, so I'm going to try and get one of them. So I think that's quite good.
They do.
Yeah.
No, they definitely do exist.
Yeah, I'm not one of those.
No, definitely not. But that's what I do like about it, because none of us are perfect. Well, I suppose there probably is some carnivores out there that have been 100% perfect. I love the carnivore soldier's outlook. He seems like, he's ex-military. There's nothing. He's so determined. Everything's going to be spot on. He's not going to mess up, and I believe him. But he's not a carnivore police. He's not going to judge you for if you fall off. But yeah, there is some people that can really stick to it. So that's good.
Don't get me wrong. I know why people are absolutely strict, and that's for one reason, and I believe one reason only, and that's to prove that eating red meat exclusively is not only safe but actually
optimal.
Sorry.
Optimal.
Did you say? Yeah, optimal. Yeah. And there's no better way to prove that than to say that you've eaten ribeye and water for 25 years straight with absolutely nothing else included. I'm never going to be the best advert for the carnivore lifestyle, and people are going to say, oh, the only reason she's alive is because she had Brussels sprouts at Christmas with her family. these people who are literally eating the steak and water for 25, 30 years straight, they are the ones that are going to prove to the world that actually the carnivore lifestyle is actually optimal for us.
There's the farmer lady up in the States or Canada, or whatever it is, that Kerry from Homestead Howell went and saw, and
Maggie.
She was in her 80s and she's lifting poles and all sorts, and she's been doing it 30, 40 years or something. So you're right, it's going to be these people are the trailblazers for the rest of us to follow.
Yeah, that's Maggie, the rancher. She's 82 and she's been doing it for, I think, about 65 years. She's been doing carnivore, and she's grabbing hold of bulls, jumping over fences and things. I mentioned this in my Dave Mack video. Actually, that's what I want to be doing when I'm in my 80s. I also mentioned as well about the imperfections. One of the things that I struggle with, like if I do decide, this is the way my mind works. If I think, like I'm at work and I see some biscuits, one or two is not going to do us any harm. I'll have one or two, but then I start face planting the box. Like I literally go mental, and it can spiral out of control and go on for a few days. So that's one of the reasons why I can understand people wanting to stick rigidly to it, because if you can't moderate like I can't moderate, then it's going to be difficult. Whenever I do decide, like, not plan to cheat, but if I did decide to, think like, oh, I'll have this, I want to treat myself and have this moment with my family or whatever it is that I've decided to do, then I have to sort of have a little bit of a battle to get myself back on it the next day. It's not as straightforward as it can be for some other people. I think I do sometimes see it as a bit of a weakness. I don't know why. Maybe I shouldn't see it as that, but that's just the way I am. You know what I mean? So
right. I had to do a 2-week lion diet reset. So I had the Christmas Day and Boxing Day just eating with my family, but on the proviso that I was willing to do lion diet the day after. So the 27th of December, I did my 2 weeks straight beef and water to reset my system, and the 27th and 28th of December were not fun. I wanted to still carry on doing what the rest of my family were doing, but I stuck to it, and now I'm on a more mixed carnivore. Now I've done that reset, I'm now mixed carnivore, eating all the different animals, and quite happy. I knew I needed to do that reset after those 2 days of eating things that were really not wise to eat. I did my 2 weeks reset, and I was felt so much better for it though. Goodness me.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people talk about the transitional period from like standard Western to the carnivore diet can take a couple of weeks before you stop having the runs and like headaches or cramps and things like that. But I think there's a longer transitional period for the mind. Like the body might adapt quicker to the carnivore, but the mind can take a hell of a lot longer. And it has for me. Like it's weird because I started off so determined. I didn't touch anything for the first few months, and I was fine, perfectly fine. But once I did it, once I stepped off, then I've had the battle. Like I've had the battle in December and in January when I went up to see my family. So it's a bit of a like not so much peer pressure is maybe the wrong word, but like a social thing with me that I sort of just back down. So it is what it is.
You can't underestimate social pressure and rituals and cultures.
Yeah.
It's all ingrained into us.
Yeah.
We are herd creatures, and we don't want to be different all the time. Most of the time, fine, but it's exhausting being very, very different all of the time. I sometimes just say, to hell with it, I'm going to enjoy that particular event, and then I'm going to be carnivore immediately afterwards. And
Yeah. No, that's good. It's a good way
I
to
know
be.
that's some people don't approve of that, but I'm not going to beat myself up anymore about
No,
it ever.
no. You've got to do what's right for yourself, 100%.
Mm.
We'll go back to the chat here because I know it's keep going down. I do like to keep them involved. They've took the time to leave a comment and pop in here. So Luna, hi everybody. Thank you for joining us. Fractal Beans. I think this was the one we were talking about, the infection, the eye thing, wasn't it? So it turns out viruses of some types, including this one, thrive on carbs and hijack cell metabolism during infection, particularly carb metabolism to promote replication. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like, once you've watched some, Dr. Ken Berry videos and Dr. Shafi, all that sort of stuff does make sense. This is turning into a Sunday's confession session. Well, I did want to bring this up actually because we've got Sarah here, who is quite open about the imperfections she's made, and I've done it as well, and I'm sure there's more than just me and Sarah and Carl that's done
There's
things.
a
So
lot of us.
it would help people, I believe. Yes. Let's go down. Before the flare up, I had a meltdown, lots of stress, alcohol, carbs, the perfect storm recipe for this disaster. Yeah, 100%. Hello there. Thank you for dropping in. She is from Belgium. So people from all over the world today. It's great to see. We've got Karen. Karen Boom Boom Rocks. Hey.
Karen, I know Karen.
I think she's probably watching from your
Hey,
channel. She's watching from your
yeah,
channel because it's got a little
she's
link
my
on it.
biggest supporter on my channel.
Oh, excellent! It's great when you've got
Yeah.
regulars that come on like that. Keeps you going as well sometimes.
Oh, definitely.
Hi guys, I've been carnivore for 12 months and lost 3 stone and fast for 23 hours. Best thing ever. So you're doing the OMAD. If you're getting that much of a fast in, it's a fantastic 3 stone in 12 months. Brilliant. Well done with that, Lee. So Luna likes the idea of that bacon thing, Carl. She's going to give that a try.
The dehydrated bacon it just enhances the flavour immensely. It's really good.
Yeah, I did do some actually. Once you mentioned it, I did do some, and they were nice. I found it, especially the fat was very chewy, but it was nice. I enjoyed it. I suppose it's meant to be chewy, isn't it? It's a bit like a jerky kind of thing. So, other people's feeling the cookie errors. Right, I've got a question.
Thanks, Karen.
Here from the Carnivore Collective. What is your favorite cut of meat on the expensive end and your favorite on the cheaper side? I'll go quickly with that one. For me, I like ribeye. I find them very easy to eat. Very. I know exactly how to cook them now, and they just taste great. I've never once had any kind of aversion to eating a ribeye. Just love it. Cheap thing that I have bought in the past. I've still got one in my cupboard downstairs. It's called Peck ham. It's in a tin. It's got like a jelly around it. You know what I mean? I don't. It's probably not very clean when it comes to carnivore, but it's lovely. I could just cut that into blocks and eat that. That's very cheap. Sarah, have you got a favorite on the expensive and the cheap side?
Yeah. Sadly, I can't afford my most favorite carnivore meal that I would do every single day, and that is ribeyes with salmon and king prawns on the side. And I can eat that exclusively all the time. If I could afford to eat that for every meal, I probably would never even ever fall off the carnivore train because that is just so heaven to me. But I just can't afford to do that all the time. And on the cheaper end, I love chicken thighs. I love them cooked with the skin on in the oven, and then later on, I like to take the skin off and then cook them in beef dripping tallow in the pan. So I get a load of beef tallow in the pan, and the pre-cooked the chicken thighs go in until they're crisp, and that is just heaven
Oh,
to me on the
nice.
chicken.
Nice. So
Oh.
you just, so it's already cooked and you just sort of re-crisping the chicken up with the fat,
Yeah,
yeah?
yeah. I imagine that's a bit like what Americans have if they have like the the fried chicken. That's probably what it would taste like.
Yeah.
Just but it's got to be really slow roasted, so it's really really super tender, and then quickly pan fried in dripping, and that just
Oh,
tastes like heaven.
I might have to try that, I think. Yeah, it sounds,
Oh,
does sound nice.
and I also put the skins in the dripping as well, so they come out big,
Ah,
crispy,
I think
amazing.
crispy chicken skin has got to be one of the best things. I mean, considering, I was always told not to eat it. I even went through a stage where I like begrudgingly didn't eat it because I thought it was so bad for us.
Yeah.
But like now I can't get enough of it. If I have chicken, I always take the skin off first and eat it. I absolutely love it. Carl, what about you? Have you got an expensive and cheap go-to meat?
Well, the ribeye is the staple for me, and what I tend to do now, I there's a local butcher's near me that will sell me a 3 kilo single piece, which I will then cut in very generous portions. So that's my special treat. Although we've all tested some of the meat box people and the meat man's foods, and their ribeyes are better quality. In terms of the cheap meat, I'm an absolute lover of doing a brisket in the slow cooker. Do it for 6-7 hours, and I normally put a little bit of brown butter in with the water, and the flavor you get from brisket. And the good thing, if you do a decent sized brisket, which is a really cheap piece of meat, you can get 2 or 3 days out of that quite comfortably, and it's just so delicious, and it just crumbles in your mouth. So brisket would be my cheap meat, ribeye would be my more expensive.
Yeah, I did. I don't know if you've seen it. I did the video where I made some brown butter, and it was horrible. Like it
Your
was so,
face, honestly, I laughed for about 10 minutes. It's your face when you tried it. That was hilarious. I'm going to do a thing about making brown. I'll show you the correct way of making
yeah,
it.
yeah. No,
I put it in ice cube tubes and cartons and whatever, and then I'll either pop them in my mouth like sweets, or I'll add it to my coffee, or I'll cook with it. And that brown butter just even elevates the flavors even more.
yeah, definitely tag us in that video, and I'll give that a try. I haven't. It hasn't gone to waste. I do cook me ribeyes with that batch that I made, and it does, because it's got the bacon in it as well that I put in mine, and it cooks the ribeyes beautifully. Like so, they go so dark brown quickly, and they've got that little bit of bacony taste to the crust. Very, very good. Sorry.
Have you got that photo that I sent you? That photo of my before picture when I was 5 inches
Yes, I'm
bigger
sure.
on the waist. I don't know whether you have. I just
Uh,
wanted to show that I have lost some weight during this. It hasn't. My 9 years hasn't been a complete and utter disaster. But then it's all about the health, isn't it? My
yeah,
next decade birthday's 50, and I just want to not be like my mum. She was
no,
ill
of
all my
course.
life.
But
She was ill
it's
all my life.
interesting because I think the majority of people go on or discover the carnival because of weight is being the issue. But within a short period of time of being on it, you suddenly realise the weight is secondary or third down the
Yeah.
line, and it's the
Oh
health
yeah.
benefits and the
Yeah.
energy levels that you get and all that. I mean, I used to do judo internationally in my late teens and early 20s, so I was quite fit guy and all that. I'm now in a better condition now than I was then, and that's because of diet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have got the photograph, but it's on the phone which I'm using for me video.
Okay.
I should have put it into the brand. I can when I'll ask a question and I'll go and get it uploaded, so we do have it on here before we end, so I can show you, because it does show a transformation in it, definitely. So yeah, thank you for that. I hope that's answered that question. This guy Simon Stan is a guy, I think so. I've been carnivore for 3 months last year, January, February, and March, but I chose to go off tomorrow. I'm starting again. There you go. So you know the benefits and you want to go back to it. That's great to hear. Let's have a look. I'm going to just go through here. Oh, I'm 60 in August. Thought you were 57.
You look younger, mate. You look younger.
I've been carnivore since last June. I started my channel because for me, the benefits were so much about my weight as my mental health and other inflammation symptoms. Excellent. Meeting Wellness. I don't know if I'm subscribed to you, but if I'm not, I will check that out. Comment on one of my other videos because this live thing might disappear or I might forget, and I'll check your channel out, definitely.
Yeah, what she says about mental health seriously runs in my family as well. My father had severe depression. My mum was always on antidepressants, and my brother is just going through 10 years of severe depression. So when I say I'm scared not to do carnivore, I really do mean it. I'm walking in the path of so much health chaos in my family, and I'm the healthiest out of all my family, generation wise. And I want to be in perfect health. When I get to 60, I still want to be medication free with nothing wrong with me. I don't want to end up in the same way that other people in my family have. And that's like you said, you said with Paul, didn't you? You said the same thing.
Yeah.
This is disease prevention. This is all kinds of things. I don't want diabetes. I don't want mental health problems. That's it.
The
I had my
weirdest.
blood panels done from the doctor, and there's nothing wrong with me. The doctor cannot find a single thing wrong with me, and that's fine with me. My thyroid's fine. My blood sugars are perfect. That's all I care about. That I can cope with going out and being in the world. If I can take part in the world and sit in an airplane seat, then I'm winning.
Yeah.
That's how I live my life.
They mentioned
I may need to get more strict. Sorry. Go on.
Sorry. They mentioned about inflammatory. That one of the most surprising effects I've had from being on the carnivore is my feet have shrunk. And to the point now that I've gone from size 14 to now I can fit into a 12, and it's probably saved me 150 pounds a pair because I used to have to get my shoes made, and now I can actually go into a shop and actually buy a stylish shoe and it fits. So that's one of the little benefits. So because I never thought of my feet being inflamed. I'd never give it a minute's thought. And it's only when, unfortunately, I had to attend a family cremation, and I put these black shoes on I hadn't worn. They were like flip-flops. Honestly, I'd never. And it was embarrassing because I was walking around this place when it's solemn, and all you can hear is flip-flop, flip-flop, flip-flop with these shoes that I had on. So it's an unusual change, but just shows you where the inflammatory is and the benefits of being on carnivore.
Definitely.
No, 100%. I've had a different reaction since I started carnivore. I actually don't like the smell of things I used to eat beforehand now. I think that's why I'm strict. Yeah, I've heard other people mention that, or they've went and just splashed out and bought something they used to like, say a McDonald's Big Mac, and it doesn't taste as good as it used to. That is quite a common thing. Anita, I've been carnivore for 3.5 years. It saved my life and my health. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love reading things like that.
I love how it gives us hope for our future. As Kerry from Homestead House says, being on carnivore gives us hope and power over our health. I probably, there will get to a point where I'll have to be more strict. I think that at some point I will get some kind of health thing where I think I actually am going to have to do this properly now without ever deviating. But as long as I've got the blood markers and the health and the vitality I've got, I'm just going to keep going the way I am.
Yeah.
My longest stretch is 6 months, and I'd love to beat that, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I'm going for it this year. I've been strict for a month. I'd love to next Christmas say I've done a whole year strict, but I'm not going to put pressure on myself. I'm just going to keep going.
No, of course. I want to do a full year strict. Definitely, it would be a massive achievement, I think. I just put this comment up here. I don't think I've seen him on here before. This is my older brother. So thank you for coming on and watching, mate. I hope you're having a good Sunday. Give me love to the family. Macam 49,000. You see, he's using him, Carl.
I saw that. Yeah, he's the member of the family that kept the hair, is he? So.
Yeah. He's still got it. I've still got mine. I just choose not to have it. I shave it off because I'm a tight northerner. Doesn't like to spend 20 quid getting my hair cut every couple of weeks. So
another benefit is that I don't have any grey hair. My mum went grey at 19, and I'm 48, and I don't have to colour my hair. So it keeps coming dark through the roots. The roots are super dark. So I see that as eating the meat. I don't know if there's a link, but considering everyone else in my family was grey and my brother's completely grey and he's younger than me, I think maybe it's the meat. That's what I'd like to think.
There's
Anyway.
other people mentioned that. I've heard people talking about colour coming back into their beards, and
Yeah,
not that you need to
Yeah.
worry about that, Sarah, but
No.
yeah, but it's no, it's definitely. I have heard a few people mention that, like all sorts of things that you wouldn't even think about, like sleeping your eye in the morning, earwax, you know, like
Yeah.
little things that just no longer happen to some carnivores. Let's have a look here. It just shows you I'm a little bit behind on the comments, but all of these sound fantastic. I think the peck is similar to spam. Yeah, I think it is a bit similar. It's not quite as greasy as spam, but I quite like spam as well. I go to the butcher and get just chicken skins and bacon in there, fry until
I've
crispy.
done that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've done that.
that sounds like a plan.
I'm going to try the brisket burgers as well that was mentioned there. I'm going to give that a go.
Yeah, yeah. Have any of you had any side effect of cutting back on alcohol as a consequence of being on the carnivore diet? I had I used to be quite a heavy drinker. This is again something I mentioned in Dave Mack's interview. I used to drink a lot of alcohol, and I'd say about 6 months prior to discovering carnivore, I decided, I've got small children, to start drinking non-alcoholic beer, and I was drinking the Guinness Zero, which is probably the best the best non-alcoholic beer that I've found. So when it did come to carnivore, all I had to do was switch from non-alcoholic beer to I switched to San Pellegrino, which is a sparkling water, and it was fine. You know, I didn't feel any withdrawal from it or anything like that because I'd already switched over. Did you two or have any struggles with alcohol at any point, or do you miss it? Do you have it now and again occasionally? I know that some carnivores, George, he still has a few drinks on a weekend, and he's still had massive benefits on the carnivore diet. Carl, do you want to go first?
Yeah, well, as you say about George, in the interview I did with George, he shed 7 stone, reversed diabetes, and maintained drinking a few beers at the weekend and drinking wine in the evenings. But what he did, he researched it, and he found the lowest carb. I think Pinot Noir was the lowest carb red wine he had. He did mention which white wine he had, and I think it's Carling was the beer, and they're the
Yeah.
lowest carb beers. So he could mix a match and still got the benefits. Myself, from an Irish family, so Guinness or the Irish water was a staple for me. I used to, like yourself, would really enjoy a good Guinness. I think at first, because obviously I sadly don't admit this after yesterday's result, but I follow Ipswich Town. I have a few friends of mine that we meet before the game, and we used to always have a few beers. It was just the done thing. And I thought I'd struggle with that, but I end to do is I buy a litre bottle of water at the bar, and that does me while all the others, and I find I got more money in my pocket because of it. So, and the other good thing is when it's my round, I'll always offer, and they say, well, no, it's not a fair balance. You know, you don't have to get better round. So it's even bigger result. So hope they're not watching today, because otherwise they'll sting me next time. But I didn't find the transition too difficult. I think again on George's one, he talked about the gin Ricky, which is gin with sparkling water or soda water and a splash of lime. So if I do fancy something when I'm out in a social environment, I will occasionally try a gin Ricky, and I haven't had one for quite a few months. But if you stick with the spirits and the distilled spirits, then obviously a lot of the nasties are gone, and you can do it. But life is for living. It's not about, as you say, we talk about carnival police and things like that. So it's about how it works for you individually. And I find I don't miss alcohol at all.
Yeah. Yep. Excellent. What about you, Sarah? Any experience with that?
I actually haven't really drunk much at all in years, because my father was a terrible alcoholic, and so actually myself and my brother were actually put off alcohol from a young age.
Yeah.
So even though I have had a little drink on very, very special occasions, it's actually got to be a really special occasion. So I can actually not drink quite easily. It doesn't suit me anyway, because if I do drink, it gives me I'm just got no tolerance at all for it, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm virtually teetotal anyway, so that makes it easier for me, I guess, because
Yeah.
that's not something that we've all got things that we can find easy not to have. It's not that
Yeah.
impressive for me that I don't drink, because actually I didn't anyway. So
Yeah.
it sounds impressive, but it's not really, because it just doesn't suit me, and it just reminds me of my dad when he used to drink. So
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. That's a fair
Yeah.
point. Annette said, "Love knowing you guys are so open and honest about being carnivore in UK in 2024. I've been keto first and then carnivore for 3 years. It's a journey in the right direction. Great live show. Thanks." Lovely comment. She comments on my videos regularly, so thank you, Annette, for that. I really do appreciate it. And there is one thing I wanted to ask. Now, I know the answer already, but this is something somebody said to us on a Twitter post. They said that I'm living in a carnivore bubble. Like, it's just because I surround myself with the people that are believing in the same thing as me, and we're all just, picking out the good bits. And I'm sure most people know what a bubble is, but it did make us think, like, am I in a bubble? I mean, I've watched so many videos by the right people. I don't really watch that much of vegan content or other people, but I'm sure vegans also believe everything that they're doing is spot on. They hear loads of testimonials from loads of people saying how good they feel. Um, do you think, Sarah, that what makes you so sure that we're not living in a carnivore bubble?
You mean like an echo chamber type
Yeah, like, so you
situation where you're just believing in, you've surrounded yourself by the people that agree with you, and so now you're only hearing good stuff. I think the fact that my journey is imperfect helps me to understand that it's not just a bubble, it's actually how we're supposed to eat. Because when I do eat the foods that the powers that shouldn't be are telling us to eat, I, you know, I've for 9 years I've actively avoided fiber, nuts, seeds, fruit, vegetables, whole grains. And if I do happen to eat those things on a rough occasion, my body reacts terribly, you know, awful, awful. So it's not, people are so shocked when I say I literally haven't eaten fruit for 9 years. And if I did, it was perhaps just one blackberry off a bush when I was out canoeing down the river or something. When I eat the foods that they tell you to eat, like the Michael Greger's Dirty Dozen, I call it. It's supposed to be the Daily Dozen, isn't it? I call it the Dirty Dozen. If I eat foods from his Dirty Dozen, I actually feel like crap. So that just tells me everything I need to know. But when I only eat meat, I feel perfect. I'd like some of these vegans to actually have a 30-day carnivore experiment, just so they can see if what they're saying is true, because they're saying that it's going to be bad, but how many of them are actually actively saying, right, let's give up plant food for 90 days and see what happens? None of them are going to do that. Whereas I have experimented, I have tried different things. I have, eaten foods that they tell you to eat, and the reaction with my body was always bad, always bad. So yeah, I do believe we are in a kind of echo chamber, but I think we do have to be, because how many of us have relatives and family and work colleagues and friends that are eating this way? Nobody. I've converted not a single person in 9 years. Not one person has turned around and said, oh, I'd really like to try that for 30 days and see what happens. I'm working with people that are eating everything. I'm living with people that eat everything. And so I think we have to surround ourselves by other with other carnivores, just so that we can feel sane and be supported. Without this community, I would not still be carnivore, because it would just be too hard. There wouldn't be anyone cheering me on. So in answer to your question, yes, it can become a bit of an echo chamber, but I think we need the support. But I'd love the average vegan to go and do a 90-day carnivore experiment, so that they've got all of the facts and all the information. Say, actually, I tried carnivore for 90 days and I didn't feel amazing.
Yeah.
So they'd get such terrible oxalate dumping, wouldn't
That would
they?
be great, wouldn't it?
After all that Dirty Dozen food, they'd have such terrible toxic downloading that they probably would feel crap, actually, though, for a month. They
Yeah.
probably would never get food.
I think I'd love to say that if there was like a big vegan influencer on YouTube that decided to do a 90-day carnivore experiment. I know the moral thing about killing animals is with a lot of them. But if they could get over that just for the 90 days, just so that we could see how it does affect their life, that would be fantastic to watch.
Every time a human eats, an animal's died. They just need to accept that. We've accepted it, haven't we? We've accepted that for us to exist and be healthy, the animals had to die. And it's not a thought, but we have just accepted it. We've just decided that we are going to be healthy. As Kelly Hogan says, you know, eat the animals, save the humans. We've decided that that's what we're going to do, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm putting my academic head on to answer the points raised there in using the boring thing called facts. The reason humans go into their various bubbles, as it's been described, is the nature of a human is tribal. So that's why people follow certain football teams, certain political parties, certain followings, because it's a tribal thing that's ingrained in us as humans. So when you are doing something like the carnivore that's different, you are naturally going to be attracted and pulled towards other carnivores because it's reassuring your tribal needs. So that's one part of the question. The second part, who are the people saying we're in a bubble? It's normally vegetarians and vegans or ill-informed people, because they're trying to justify to themselves why what they're doing is right and yours is wrong. I don't hear of carnivores going on vegan websites and starting to say, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that right. But it's the other way around is quite common. And I love a debate with a vegan or something. And one of my channels, I actually got some extra subscribers because a vegan came on and tried and give me all the lecture of what was going on. And again, boringly, I just used facts to answer the questions. And in the end, they realized they were losing the battle. You're right. A carnivore, an animal dies for us to survive. A vegan, millions of insects and animals and plants die to be a vegan or a vegetarian, but they don't look at that. The biggest loss of the Amazon forest is because of plantation of plants for vegans and vegetarians and that. So they all get on the high horse of their CO2. So one of the reasons I want to do my PhD is because I can then talk from a position of authority. Even though I know the knowledge, it gives me the credence to do the counter argument. But if any carnivore is getting abuse or stick, just use facts, because they can't beat the facts and they fall down over. And I'm going to be putting a post up, I'm editing at the moment, about the research done proving certain sciences are wrong, and I'm trying to use a little bit of humor in it as well, because I like doing a bit of humor and stuff. But the message is quite clear that, you know, through my lifetime, I was told what the correct diet was, and everything I'm doing now in this last year has completely undone that. And now I've realized how I've been misinformed as opposed to being informed. And that's because I'm doing it to myself and I'm seeing the results. I'm not listening to in a paper or some media's outsource. But going back to the original point, we're tribal, so we would naturally be attracted to joining a fellow tribe that meets our needs. So that's why, so it's not a bubble, it's human nature why we end up doing what we do.
Yeah, that does make sense, 100%. Thanks for that, Carl. Anita, this is just confirming that I'm not in a bubble. I didn't actually think I was, but it was an interesting thought when they did say that to me. I thought, you know, is it a possibility? I know, just like from your own personal experience, that what I'm doing makes us feel a hell of a lot better. So either way, I'm going to keep doing it. Just quickly go through some more comments. I've got a couple more questions if you've still got time. I don't know if we have gone past the hour mark, so if you need to go, Sarah or Carl,
I'm good.
Excellent.
I could talk for hours. You never get rid of me.
That's what I like. Yeah, another one's being told, meeting Mellis is being told we're in echo chambers. I think that's a common thing. Daniel said, I think my question wasn't well worded. My point was that being carnivore and feeling so healthy acts as a deterrent to drink alcohol in the first place.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. So you're not waking up with the hangovers or feeling rough. Totally agree with that. Let's just quick go down here. Simon, yes, Paul, I know the benefits. Although I don't have big health problems, I want to avoid them in the future for sure. 100%. I think a lot of people think you have to have something to overcome. I didn't have any major illnesses. I wasn't massively overweight. I've done this for preventative measures in the future. You don't have to do carnivore just because you're overweight. That is the reason why a lot of people find it and do it, because it is successful with that. But you don't have to do it. That doesn't have to be your why, does it?
to expand on that, my mother had health problems right from a very, very early age. She had a whole reproductive system removed when I was 13. She then had the thyroid removal when she was about 3 years younger than me. She had to have hips replaced, and then she had severe cancer. And then she went down the traditional route that I didn't really want her to go down. And then she died at 71 with just multiple medications and health problems about 19 months ago. And I was her right-hand man, so I was behind her every step of the way. Every time she went into hospital, I was there looking after her, moving in with her, taking her to multiple hospital appointments. And it was all incredibly miserable. And if there's I've said to my husband and many others, I will do whatever it takes to not have to suffer severe health problems. Literally whatever it takes. There's no place I won't go to. And if I did find out tomorrow that I had something, a cancer of some sort, I would go to the nth degree to avoid going down the traditional route. So I would do whatever I thought was going to get me better without actually taking any medication or drugs. That's just how I live. This is my grandmother here. I'll just show you a picture of her for those of you that don't know her. She was my grandmother who was married to a butcher, and she ate extreme amounts of meat and was against medication. And she was one of the healthiest humans. She's about the only healthy human that I know about in our family. And she lived to a very old age with nothing wrong with her, and I'm following in her footsteps. Eat as much meat as possible, don't take medication, and see what happens. And she would have done whatever it took to avoid the doctors as well, and that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, avoiding future problems is my thing. I do not want to have to suffer the way my mum did, but she'd had complete faith in the medical profession, and she didn't want to make any changes to her life. She was against the keto diet. She used to say to me, if I hear the word, I don't want to hear the word keto mentioned under my roof ever again. Please stop talking about it. So I said, okay, so we definitely don't want to hear about any of my options. No, I don't want to hear the word keto mentioned under my roof ever again. And that was it. I said, fine, okay, it's up to you. We're going to do what you want to do. And she died at 71 with complete and utter health catastrophe. So if there's anything I can do that's natural that I can do to prevent myself going down the way she went, then that's what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to live to 120. I've told my kids they're never going to get rid of me, because they're going to be like, oh, mum's 110 now, why isn't she dead yet? Oh no, she's still sorry. So whatever it takes. And I am going to get more perfect. I'm only 48. I've got other decades in which I can be perfect in. I might be perfect carnivore for the whole of my 50s. I probably will be. And I have hope. It's having hope for your future, isn't it? And not walking around with your fingers crossed thinking, God, I hope I don't get this or that.
Yeah.
Avoiding dementia, Alzheimer's, diabetes, the lot, really. And I think we can do it.
No, you can't. You can't 100%. Like I think you've said in the past, you don't, when you're on carnivore, you don't have that fear or anxiety of getting cancer in the same way that you would have previously. You've got what you believe is something on your toolkit that you can use to, if you did get diagnosed with something, to fight it. I know Kerry from home said, how has a friend called Jeff DeProsperous who's got stage 4 cancer, and he's fighting it with carnivore diet and lots of like 5-day fasting and things like that, and he's fit as a fiddle. Looking at the videos, he's way fitter than I am, and he's got stage 4 cancer. So it is good. I mean, we don't, we can't say for a fact 100% it's definitely going to work for every situation that's out there, but it's got to be the best. It's got to be the best option.
But it has been proven that glucose and sugar feeds cancer.
Yeah.
So that's a fact.
Yeah. But when people hear that, they just still don't want to stop eating it, do they?
No.
Everyone seems to have heard that message, but they're not acting on it.
Yeah, and nobody complained to me. Nobody was ever worried about my diet when I was eating pizzas, McDonald's, drinking beer, smoking cigarettes. Like nobody said anything. Now I'm eating like bacon and eggs and beef. It's dangerous. I'm going to have a heart attack. You know what I mean? They weren't worried about the stuff that was actually going to cause the heart attack. But it's total brainwashed mentality from decades going back through the generations.
They all become doctors, don't they? All of a sudden.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a big guy I don't want to mention names, but somebody that I know, big, massive fella. And when I told him I was on Carnivore, he's like, "Oof, you'll end up having a heart attack." And I just thought,
Yeah.
I mean,
You not have a mirror.
what can you say? Yeah, what can you
Yeah.
say? You know what I mean? Without sounding like condescending. So I was just like, yeah, well, I've done my research, so whatever happens, happens. That's all you can say. And like you were saying, Sarah, about your mum, my mum's still alive, thankfully, and but she has her issues. She has high cholesterol. The doctor's just upped her dosage, and she's got arthritis. And I've told her, she knows everything, and I think she actually even believes it works, but she doesn't think she can do it. She doesn't think she can eat just meat. And sometimes people are not going to be able to do it. Some people just don't want to do it, you know. So no matter how much you can help, they just won't do it, even if they're on the deathbed. I think some people, it's just, I'm not doing that, you know.
Yeah. I really thought my mum was going to, at the last minute, say to me, "Oh, please, Sarah, tell me about this keto thing. I'm getting desperate now." But no, she never did get desperate.
No.
She never did get desperate, and in the end, she had multiple organ failure, and I had to nurse her. And I was there for the last 2 weeks, just her and me. And so that's why in those 2 weeks I wasn't carnivore, because in those 2 weeks I actually didn't give a shit what I ate, you know, because I was having such a horrible time. I couldn't save her. I couldn't save her. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
I get emotional, but all I could say to her was the whole 2 weeks was, "I'm sorry this has happened to you. I'm sorry this has happened to you." And inside my head thinking, I may even have been able to save you, but you had to do it your way.
They've got to,
Did it your way, and here we are.
You've
Yeah,
got,
very
you've
sad.
got to,
Very
you've got,
sad.
you can't force it on somebody, no matter how much you love them. You can't force it.
No.
They've got to want to do it. I mean, that my mum and dad could live for another 10, 15, 20 years on the standard Western diet and die of something horrible, or they might, you know, they could die at any point, and they know the risks. They know. It's not like I haven't told them. I've told them until I'm blue in the face, and you know, if it's their choice at the end of the day. So if they do die, I'm going to know that I've told them. That's all I can do.
That's it. What you can do.
Yeah.
But again, just using boring facts again, the low-fat diet came in 50 years ago, right? And since that 50-year period, heart disease has increased, obesity is increased, dementia and Alzheimer's have all increased so rapidly that no one can actually put the two together and actually see that. Because I watched a post by the two guys from Australia the other day, and they were showing some pictures of the 50s and the 60s of Sydney, I think it was. And there was crowds of people walking up and down, and there wasn't a single obese person in that shot. And then if you look at it now, you're struggling to find the underweight person in the shot. And it's, you know, it's scary that people can't see the evidence in front of their own eyes. They believe what they're being told by the media and by the big pharma and the big food companies that are influencing certain researchers in a way that they only release the information that benefits their agenda. So, but you're right. You can say what you like to anybody. You can, the old cliche, you can take a horse to water, you can't make it drink. You know. But we've got to get the message out there, because you know it will change people's lives. I'm fortunate. My nephew, who I did an interview with, has massively benefited from it. His sister's now on it and benefiting from it. I've got friends that have been on it and they're all benefiting from it. I've not found anyone yet that has turned around and said, "No, I've got worse. My health has gone down." I've had a couple of people who've dropped out of it because it just wasn't right for them, or their issues with fat. Sorry, my camera keeps adjusting. I have to stop moving my hands around. But you know, as far as I'm concerned, you can only do what you can do. Don't beat yourself up about it, and hope that others can see how you're improving and want to follow.
Yeah.
I think the problem with me though is I never did have the dramatic weight loss, and I know that is because I have been imperfect. I get the logic behind it. If I'd been perfect for 9 years, I'd be tiny like Kelly Hogan. But and that's frustrating for me, because people only look at, you know, you have lost quite a considerable amount of weight, haven't you, Carl? So they can see it, whereas all of my health problems that I've reversed are all invisible, so they can't see it. You know, if I had lost a whole big bunch of weight as well, they may have paid me more attention. But my health as a result of my mum dying has got so bad now. Even when I do it, the weight doesn't come down. I can do it for months at a time and there's no change in my weight. I think it would probably take me 2 years of strict before I even begin to see any scales moving down. It's
But
very
that's your
frustrating.
body, for whatever
Yeah, my
reason,
body's
is holding on to the weight as you
yeah,
class it as for a
yeah.
reason. It's not.
Oh yeah,
I
100%.
I was clinically obese. Honestly, a shame I should have sent you some pictures, Paul. But my wife's nickname for me was Moon because my face was completely round. You know,
Oh,
now I've still got cheeks and whatever, but you know, I've lost 4 of the chins already. You know, I've lost 6, 7 inches off the waist. That you know, I'm having to wear my son's tops and that because none of the old tops would fit me anymore. You know, it's. So, but yeah, and as Paul said earlier, the amount of people that come up to me concerned about how well I was looking because they were quite having me to be an elephant and chucking into pizzas
yeah,
and burgers and all sorts. But suddenly
yeah,
I lose this weight. They're all really worried about me and all this. And I'm like, just look what's going on.
Yeah.
yeah,
No, that's
yeah.
100%. Right, I've got loads of comments. I do apologize if I'm missing them, but I do want to get a couple more things in with these guys before we end the stream. So, how we'll start with you, Sarah. How do you think you have changed as a person because of carnivore? Do you think if you never even discovered carnivore, like your mindset, you as a person would have been different?
I actually did a video of this a couple of days ago to say, and it was about what my life would be like if I hadn't found carnivore. Just imagine I'd never found it. And I think that the word that Kerry from Homestead How comes out with hope is probably the biggest one. Because if I had never found this way of eating, I'd be walking around like everyone else with my fingers crossed, thinking, "Oh, I hope I never get dementia. I hope I never get diabetes." Da 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 da. And now I can walk around feeling not cocky, but certainly an air of hope that I can keep my health, in a good place and not get really sick. Already it's working because by the time my mum was my age, she'd already lost a lot of body parts. She was well on her way to have her hip replaced. And there's nothing wrong with me. My doctor cannot find a single thing wrong with me. And I feel fantastic.
Yeah.
But if you had that photo of me on, the before picture,
Mm-hmm.
I had no hope there. There was no hope there. I was not sleeping. I was depressed. I was anxious. Well on the way to pre-diabetic. Just a mess,
Yeah.
and no way of controlling my future health or avoiding. I would be a lot bigger. I said this in my other video. The way that my life was going at that point, if I hadn't found carnivore when I did, I'd be definitely at least 50 to 100, 150 pound, maybe even 200 pound heavier than what I am now if I just carried on the way I was going. So even though I
Yeah.
don't look ultra skinny or anything, I'm, compared to what I would be like if I'd not found it, I think it's night and day
Yeah.
in my personality, in my hope, in my confidence around my health, you know,
Yeah.
but
Definitely.
definitely night and day, night and day.
I'll let Carl talk for a little bit just about it, see if he's changed. You can look at some of the comments as well. I want to get that picture up on here so that we can show people the difference. I'm just gonna block me camera and me mic for a second. Carl, can you just explain how you've changed as a person potentially from the carnivore diet, if you
Yeah,
have?
sure. As I say, the point is, obviously, like a lot of people have got an Apple Watch, and I was getting various feedbacks from issues, and my resting heart rate was almost like a conscious rate, which is quite concerning. Blood pressure was on the up, so um, doing the carnivore was almost like a desperate last issue for me. And when I did it, I monitored. My weight was obviously coming down quite rapidly, but I think that was unfortunate in one of those because I think from my former days of sport and judo, I was able to lift weight and drop weight quite quickly. So my body's used to that immediate adjustment. Not everyone has that advantage. But amazingly now, my resting heart rate is about average of 52, 53, which is the resting heart rate of a teenager. Um, my blood pressure's the best it's ever been that I've ever known. And I just find nothing but positives from everything that I've done. Even got cheaper shoes now. So I mean, who can complain about that? If nothing else, I've got shrinking feet. So that's beneficial. going back to some of the points you were talking about earlier, like with your mother, etc. Unfortunately, I've lost both my parents, but they both lived to their 90s. However, my father was the strongest man I ever knew and was brilliant. Then had a thrombosis go through his lung, which triggered diabetes for him. So he was technically type 1. He was put on a low-fat diet, as most diabetics are, and all the various bits. And very quickly, he got dementia, and the deterioration in him was so rapid it was frightening. And unfortunately, I'm the youngest of 7 boys. And when my mum passed away, my mum was my dad's carer, as such. That we were then. Sorry, it threw me there, that picture. So we used to look after Dad, and so we were quite close to seeing the demise. And subsequently, with some of the research I've done, I found out the importance of what animal fat does to the brain, to hormones, to the various bits. That had he not gone on that low-fat diet, I think, one, he wouldn't have deteriorated, and he would have lived even longer, because it was noticeable how bad things went once he went on the low-fat diet. So for me, I'm fortunate. I've seen my parents for a long period of time. Not everyone has that privilege, but seeing them decrease in health so rapidly, I'm trying to encourage some of my older brothers now to consider the way they're eating their diets. But it's as we've said before, it's their choice. It's it's down to them. It was interesting. I saw a comment earlier from Less Grumpy Old Ben about, because I did an interview with him last week. He actually had lockdown. The Carnival lockdown was the trigger that saved him, because he was able to lose the weight. But once he came out of lockdown and people saw the change in him, they were convinced he had cancer. So it's just amazing how people take the negative from such a positive situation. Right, so you're back now, Paul. I'll stop waffling now.
No, thank you for taking over there. I did manage to get the photograph here. So this was, Sarah, how long ago was this taken?
This was just before the 2 weeks before I found Carnivore. So I had 5 inches more on my waist.
Right.
I was only about 20 pounds heavier than I am now, but my body's changed so much that actually I do have a picture of me with not much clothes on, but I'm not going to share it on the live. It's too embarrassing. My shape has changed dramatically. I look like I weigh just under 200 pounds at the moment, but I actually look like I weigh about 175, 180 pounds now. So I have had a lot of restructuring. So the sheer amount of meat I've eaten in the last 9 years has meant that I feel really good. I feel really good.
That's a massive transition. You said that you don't look that different. That is a massive transition.
Yeah.
How did you get on, out of interest? I'm fortunate because I went quickly into bone broth, but I found with my weight loss, my skin stayed tight. Did you find, obviously from your original size to where you are now, because my nephew's struggling with loose skin and he's hoping that's starting to tighten. I was fortunate, my skin reduced as my body weight went. So how did you find?
Because of being on the Carnival diet so long, my skin is perfect. I don't have any loose or wrinkling or sagging skin anywhere, and I think that's just for the sheer amount of collagen that I've eaten, and that my skin's aged really well. People tell me I don't look 48, but the kids at school, well, they're not much of a guess, so they're 9 years old. But people will say that I look 10 years younger than I am, obviously without the grey hairs and things like that. So it is very anti-aging eating this way. And my skin, if I was able to get the weight off, I think my skin would be quite happy and do what it's supposed to, because of all the collagen and all the amazing proteins that we eat in the meat.
Yep.
I just feel I will be perfect one day. I don't plan to be a carnivore disaster for the complete rest of my life.
Yeah.
When I'm 60, I'm planning to be one of the veterans. I'll be, I had 10 years of messing around, and then I was 10 years of perfect, and look at me in a bikini, and I've got good hope.
Yeah.
Not going to go to sea just yet.
Always have a goal. Always have a goal.
Of course, and I'm exactly the same. I want to strive for perfection, really, on the carnivore diet. I know they say don't let perfection get in the way of excellence, but I'd just be happy to do one full year. I think if I got one full year without any hiccups, I'd be like, well, I mean, I'd be like, yeah, I can do this now. So,
Yeah, my longest is 6 months without hiccup, and I can tell you it does get easier if you can get over those first 3 months. Because I remember at the 4-month point, it actually got to the point where normal food, well, I say normal food, variety food, just didn't look as appealing anymore. I don't want to tell you why I fell off the wagon after that 6 months, because it's just a stupid, pathetic story. It happened. It
yeah,
happened. It is what it is. That's it, really. But talking about low-fat diet, I was a slimming consultant for a few years when I was in my early 30s. So I actually brainwashed people and contributed. I contributed to the misery of people's lives. I worked for Slimming World as a consultant, and that messed up. And you know, the women in those groups were not losing weight, but it was always the men. I'm not a man basher, but it usually is the men that lose weight. Whatever you're doing, it always falls off the men. But I'm not bitter. It's fine. It's fine. I'm healthy, and like you say, the older you get, the more the health takes over. In your 20s, it's all about the weight, but when you get into your 40s, 50s, and 60s, you do start to think, you know, I don't want to be seriously unwell, and so I keep going with it because that's just the only way I know. I don't know any other way to prevent disease other than this.
Yeah,
It's my best option.
It's definitely the best option out there, in my opinion. And I think anybody that's tried Carnivore would agree. I do want to just quickly move on to one more thing before we start wrapping it up. Dave Mack recently put a video out about they're trying to make us reduce meat consumption. I don't know if you're saying it like countries like America and Australia. There's talk about them reducing the amount of meat you're allowed to eat in a day, all that sort of stuff. I mean, I don't want to go too in depth because we could talk about this sort of thing for hours on its own, to be honest with you. But do you think there is something in this? Do you think they don't want us to be healthy? Obviously, they're not going to make a profit from us being healthy. Do you think this is something that could potentially get pushed through legislation wise and something that we'd have to fight off? Carl, do you want to go first with this?
Well, you have to take a step back because obviously political parties who make decisions need sponsorship. And if you look at the big sponsors and look at the big researches done by these organizations, you will find that the big grain companies, the Kellogg's of this world, the Cargills of this world, are major sponsors of these. So they're providing influence. So the only way that you fight back with it is people like us get out there and we get talking about it and we get it out there. And then when people, I mean, we're all from the UK. There's a number of people that are not. In the UK, one of the biggest institutions we have is the NHS. You imagine the benefits to the NHS if 1/3 of people in this country went on the carnivore diet. Suddenly you'd lose the demand for medication, you'd lose the need for a lot of the illnesses and treatments that are required for those illnesses. And that suddenly makes the NHS much more valuable because the people that have got the chronic illnesses that need that attention will be dealt with rather than all of us having statins and all the various different medication. But the big chemicals are going to influence, so big companies are going to influence government policies in America and here and all that because there is more profit in creating glucose and grains and all that than an animal. And we need to be strong and we need to be more vocal. And the best way I can put it is if you look at the vegans, the vegetarians of 10, 20 years ago, and you went into a pub, there was no meals for them and they got very vocal about it. They really got the message out there. And now that's now the leading voice in terms of foods. I go into a lot of pubs and I struggle to find just a steak nowadays. So we've now got to learn from that and start getting vocal ourselves and get out there because, you know, there are too many influencers that are for their, as you say, profit. It's about profit for them and their shareholders, not about people's health. Because if they're unhealthy, then the pharma companies benefit because then you're having the drugs to try and counterbalance it. Mm-hmm. That's why this lifestyle is not popular, because it's not popular because the big industries don't want it.
Yeah. 100% agree with that. Is there anything you'd like to add to that, Sarah?
Well, that's the reason I set up the channel, because I'm terrified on the war of meat. It absolutely terrifies me. And I originally was going to set up my channel once I was massively successful and lost every single pound that was excess. But then I realized that the war on meat is happening right now. And while I'm sitting quietly, not having a channel, I'm not, at least what having a channel means I'm trying to do something. You know, I don't know how much power I've got in my little channel that's just got less than 1,000 subscribers, but at least I'm talking about it, and it is growing slowly. And and I would encourage anyone, if anyone's following this and you're not putting videos out, just do it. We need to look bigger. And even if you're not perfect, I want the people to start shouting who are like me, in that you know, at the moment you've mostly got channels from people that are perfect all the time, never put a foot wrong. But what about all the tens and hundreds of thousands of people that have done carnivore and are doing it, you know, most of the time, like me? And we should have a voice too. But yeah, obviously agree with everything Carl said. You know, there's no profit in healthy people. I do think it's deliberate that we're sick. I do. It's a horrible thing to have to say. I do think it's a deliberate thing.
Yeah.
Whether it's all money driven or whether it is just deliberate for depopulation, that's another story for another day, isn't it? But
yeah. No, like I say, we could talk for hours about it because
go on forever about that.
and I think I will do it a live stream about it at some point. So I'll have you on if you're interested. I know Richard, half the man, he quite knowledgeable on all that sort of stuff. So I could have people on there talking about it. But yeah, I don't know if you could hear me. Baby's been screaming away downstairs, so I will go down there in a bit. But before we go, can you just give a little update on what your plans are for the future? Give your YouTube channel a shout out, and then we'll take it up from there. Sarah, do you want to go first? Yeah.
Yeah, I just want people to find my channel that want to feel at home with not being perfect. I think there's a lot of people out there that needing to find my channel. So somewhere to come where you know that you've got, you know, just a nice comfy little chat. You know, you're okay. It's okay to keep going. You know, come and chat to me. I'll make you not feel bad about the fact that you had some sprouts on Christmas Day. It's fine, you know. I'm not going to shout you down for that. I do want to be perfect though. I will be perfect. And I say that to myself every day. I say, don't beat yourself up. This is going to be a perfect channel one day. At some point. Yeah, really, that's it. Just not, may not be yet. It may be this year, you know. I've done my first month.
Yeah.
I plan to do another one and see what happens. Could be this year that I do my first 12 months, and I'm certainly going to down. We'll try.
Yeah, well, it definitely can be. It can be. So good luck with that, Sarah.
Yeah, I could talk a lot more about how I found Carnivore, but we can do that another day. You know,
Yeah,
the story of how I actually stumbled across it is quite big. But
yeah, no, I would love to have you on again. I want to get Lauren back on again as well because she's fantastic. I want to get another one done.
That recent video she did about she's got so much on that now. I really wanted to congratulate her on that. I'll do it.
Yeah, I think it's close to like 200,000 views or something along them lines.
It's viral. Amazing.
Yeah,
amazing. That's a story of someone that didn't have weight to lose. She had weight to gain. She was very, very, very underweight and very sickly, and it's turned her life around. You know, it's not all about weight loss. There's so much more to it than just that.
Yeah, 100% totally. So yeah, Carl, do you want to give a little?
Well, yeah, I think my issue when I started off doing the YouTube channel is understanding what identity and what I wanted to do with the channel. So I did a bit of this and a bit of that, and I've now got a clearer view of what I want to try and do. So as I said, I've started already doing some study with regards to doing my PhD. So I'm going to use the channel to start putting out stuff that I'm finding out and uncovering, so it'd be more informative. But also I do stand-up comedy, so I want to also add a bit of humor to it, because I think when you laugh at something, you take it in more. So I'm going to be doing a mixed combination of some funnies as well as some much more fact-heavy details, so people can use it as a resource. So when they're getting battered by the vegans or whatever, they can go to my channel and they can find some information and hit them back with it and knock them for six. So because it is a battle. I mean, my wife jokes, because when I did the interview with Carnival Soldier, we talked about it as a war, and we're fighting vegetables and broccoli and that, but it's not. It's the people behind that, and I feel that we just need to arm ourselves. And as I say, I keep using the boring word. It's called facts, because facts never lie.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm coming from.
No, 100%. I absolutely love that. What Sarah was saying there about getting your voice out there, creating a channel, if you can do it. You don't need all this expensive gear. I've got my laptop down here, which is an old one. I've got my iPhone, and this thing, this picture that I put up before, I wanted to show, is just I've jammed the mic. It looks all posh, but on the screen, but it's just jammed into the top of the bunk bed. And it's just perfect angle coming out. So it's just making do with what you can and get your story out there and spread the word about the carnivore diet, because it will change people's lives and save people's lives as well. So if you're not subscribed to either of these two channels, please do so. Like I say, their links are below in the description. I'm going to end it there. Is there anything you just want to say before I close it?
No.
Excellent. Okay, well, we'll leave it there. And thank you, everybody, for watching. I do apologize if I didn't get to your comment. I know there was loads there that I missed towards the end, so I do appreciate it. We will do more live streams, like I say. But yeah, that's it. You guys take care. And for now, we'll see you later.
Thanks, Paul.
Cheers.
Thank you so much.